Hey filmmaker, Chung Dha here. In this video I'm going to show you the best vlogging setup you can get in 2016. My entire vlog setup is inside this backpack. The most important thing outside of here is the Manfrotto Compact Action. This is a small compact tripod. It extends to 1.5 meters, which is really nice for time lapse and also a static shot if I'm talking to the camera. But this needs time to set up, and for most of the time this is not used that much, but only if it's really needed or it's an interesting interview. I really want to have a more static shots than handheld. On the other side I have a bottle of water, because when you're talking a lot and when you're outside you really want to have water with you, so you have something to drink. So the main setup is this. This is my main setup, which is like this in my backpack, so I don't have to put the Joby pod or Joby Gorillapod onto my camera and also the microphone. I just need it to be quickly taken out of my camera bag or my backpack and directly use it, because you don't want to waste too much time on setting up. So that's why this is only used when it's only needed, but most of the time I'll be shooting like this, because this is much faster and directly can grab this out of my backpack. The camera I'm using is the Panasonic G7. The great thing is that it is a fully articulating screen, and because of that I can actually easily film myself, and this enables it to be much easier to see what I'm filming. The microphone I'm using is the Rode Video Micro, because it has a dead cat and also it does not use any batteries, so it's always going to be on. And compared to the Rode Video Mic Pro, that one needs a battery and also has a lot of buttons on the back, so it can go wrong. And this one you can just you just always know it's going to be on, and you just check the audio meters if it's actually connected correct. So the lens that I'm using is the 40mm f2.5 with a fisheye conversion lens, the GFC1. It makes the 40mm into a 10.5, which makes it much wider, because if you compare it to it on a full frame, it will be more comparable to a 21mm, which is really nice and wide. This camera shoots in 4K and I can actually zoom in post. However, if I want to use a more tele lens, I have a small bag in my backpack which contains 3 extra small lenses. These 3 are all C-mount lenses, and these are all 3 Fujian lenses. These are really inexpensive lenses. These are each around 20 bucks. I have here the 25mm f1.4, the 50mm f1.4, and the 35mm f1.7. These 3 small lenses actually makes it really nice, because if you want to have a more depth of field of look or a shot, you can swap it with one of these 3 lenses. And especially if you are shooting something that is far away, the 50mm is comparable to a 100mm lens, so you can really get like somebody on stage much closer. And I'm just using one C-mount adapter. However, probably I'll get more adapters, so I don't have to swap the adapters instead of directly mounting it onto the camera. So these are the lenses that I use for vlogging. However, these 3 doesn't come out that much. It's only if I really need them. But most of the time, if I'm just talking to the camera, this is going to be enough. What's here on the bottom is the Joby Gorillapod, the Action Gorillapod. This is also have like an adapter for to put a GoPro on. However, I'm going to use it with the Panasonic G7. Its maximum weight capacity is 725 grams, and the G7 with this lens combination is much lighter. So this is a really nice nice to use, because you can use it as a selfie stick to film yourself with. However, you can also just use it as a tripod or a table tripod and put it on the table. And you can of course wrap it around something and get like a steady shot without having to set up a entire tripod. So, and that was the main setup of if I'm doing most of the dialogues, I'm going to use this. But for the B-rolls, I'm using something different, because for B-rolls certain times you don't want to use this camera because out of safety precautions. So I also have an action cam. This is the SJ4000. However, it's probably better to get the SJ5000 or a actually even better action cam, because this doesn't have slow-mo. But personally, I don't find it that bad. If you totally do not need slow-mo, then yeah, this is actually a really great camera to have to do your B-rolls, because you can use this for time-lapse and also film things where you don't want to be noticeable that you are filming, especially with this mount on the back, which is a clamp. You can actually mount it onto your backpack. A lot of venues like this, they don't really ask you about it at all. So you can easily film a lot of things, and also when you're just walking through a mall or just walking about, this is a quite easy way to film things. But also you can use it as a kind of POV shot. Instead of clamping it there, you can move this out and you can actually bite on it, so you can get a real POV shot from out of this. And yeah, the biting trick actually gives it a really stable shot, and you can have like your both hands enabled to do things. Another thing is you can mount this onto your collar. However, you need to have a shirt that it has like a strong collar, and then especially when you're walking, it's not going to be stable. But if you are doing just very simple things like drawing something or just showing something on the table, this can actually get quite nice of a POV shot. This clamp on the back, I really recommend buying it for your action cam. It's not that expensive. I'll have a link below of all these stuff you can get, and especially this clamp, you can buy it off eBay, and this has like this rotation, makes it really great to mount it onto your backpack or onto your collar, because you can change the direction of it. And another thing is you can just put it on the table and you can clamp it onto things. And also, last thing, to compare this with a Canon DSLR, because there are certain people that are using a DSLR for vlogging. I have to say, this is really huge, and you can see for yourself, it's a much smaller lens, much smaller camera. The Panasonic G7 is just a much better setup than a DSLR for vlogging. And also there are like Sony cameras for vlogging, but the Sony is really missing this flip out screen, so you can see yourself much better. So personally, I suggest the Panasonic G7 because it films 4K. However, if you don't need 4K and enable you to zoom in post afterwards, you can also opt for the Panasonic G6, which is much more affordable right now, especially secondhand. You can pick it up for quite affordable price. Action cam wise, you can get better cameras. You can also get the Sony cameras, because those are really good in low light. But if you are just only going to use it for simple B-rolls, the SJ4000 actually can get the job done, and it's not that expensive. So that was mainly it. If you have any other suggestions for what to get for vlogging, or any other things or questions you have, please comment below. And if you want to see more upcoming videos, please subscribe, and I hope to see you the next time. Bye bye.